Right. So this is the topic that we have discussed last time, right? So it is about constructing a truth table for a given expression, right? So the expression that we were considering is a bar plus b dot c bar within brackets. So the first thing that what we have done there is to determine what are the different kinds of variables or different number of variables inside a particular expression. And remember, people, it doesn't matter in which state that the variable is going to represent, right? So in some cases, you may see the same variable is staying on different states, right? Maybe it can stay as a, at some other place it can stay as a bar, right? A කියලා එක තැනක තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, a expression එකේම තව තැනක a bar කියලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. But it doesn't matter when we are considering the number of variable, it's just one particular variable, right? So literally what we have to do is we have to figure out how many different English letters are there in this expression. ඉංග්‍රීසි අකුරු වෙනස් ඉංග්‍රීසි අකුරු කීයක්ද තියෙන්නේ කියලා settle කරගත්තා නම් හරි. Right? So once after we determine the number of variables, we are going to construct the truth table. So the second step goes to the determined variable. For each and every variable that we have determined in the previous section, we have to draw a column for each and every variable, right? So for A, we draw a column. For B, we draw a column. For C, we are having a separate column, right? So the third one, or the third step, is the most important one, right? So in the third step, we clarify or we calculate how many number of rows are going to be there in the truth table and what kind of combinations are going to be there regarding the inputs, right? That means in the sense of ones and zeros, right? So we can determine, or like we can figure out how many combinations, the number of combinations from this equation that we discussed, right? So number of input combinations, or in other words, number of rows are equal to 2 to the power number of inputs, right? So in this case, we have 3 inputs, which is A, B, and C. So according to that, we get to know we need to draw 8 input combinations for the truth table. So then we learn a particular pattern to plot these ones and zeros inside the truth table as the input combinations, right? So what was the technique or the trick? It's like we take the first column, we divide the number of rows like in half method. So the first half is going to be filled from zeros, and the next half is going to fill from ones. So according to that, first 4 lines or first 4 rows of the first column are going to fill with zeros, and the last 4 lines of the first column is going to fill with ones, right? And when it comes to the second column, what we are doing is we consider the identical part of the first column. So you can see in the first column, we have these first 4 rows as identical values, right? So we take those 4 rows, again, we divide that number of rows into a half to half manner, right? So then the first half is going to be filled with zeros, and the next half is going to be filled with 1. So that is why in the second row, we have 2 zeros, then 2 ones. So the same thing going to happen for the next 4 lines, because next 4 lines of the first column are identical. So because of that, those 4 lines in the second column are going to divide like in half manner, right? So the first half is zeros, that is why these 2 zeros are there, and the second half is from ones. So the last line contains the same logic. right? So which is going to give 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 manner, right? So in there you have considered these two zeros together, those are identical. So we divide those number of rows, which means 2. So once we divide it into 2, it means 1 row and 1 row. So half will be state as 0. Next half is state as 1. So likewise, in the C column is going to fill with 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 manner, right? So that is the way that we are going to figure out the operations of the, or like the combinations of the inputs. Right. I hope that is clear with you all, right? If there is anyone who is not clear with this logic, so please let me know. Then I will go through the things, right? So you can figure out how the things are happening, right? Is there anyone who need the clarification about it again? Truth table එක I clear කරගන්න ඕන කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද? කොහොමද මේ එක බිඳු දාන්න කියන එක? Pattern එක මොකක්ද කියන එක? Right, great. Okay, so then what we are going to do is the last step, we are going to consider the operator precedence or the order of the operators in a way, or like in a line where the brackets come first, then the not operator, then the AND operator and the OR operator, like we did in the circuit drawings, and we are going to complete the truth table, right? So according to the expression that we considered, which is A bar plus B dot C bar. So here we got brackets in our expression. So we are focusing on the brackets. So the brackets indicates B dot C bar, two operators are there, dot and the bar, right? So we first give the priority to the bar, which is the not operator. So from C, we are going to derive C bar, right? So it is pretty easy. So when we are having C bar from C, what we have to do is like convert zeros into ones and ones into zeros correspondingly, right? So after that, we are going to consider about the AND operation. So C bar is done. So once the C bar is done, then after we are going to consider B dot C bar, the entire bracket, right? So B dot C bar, to take B dot C bar, what we have done is we have considered the column B and the column C bar, right? So using those two, we had the output by multiplying the corresponding value on those columns, right? So as it goes, this output is generated. So be very careful, people, when you are like multiplying the things. When we multiply anything from 0, the output is going to be a 0. Only one scenario in the multiplication that you are going to receive a 1 as your answer. It is only when all two operands or both the operands are staying as 1. So 1 into 1 is the only combination that's going to give you a 1. In all other combinations, it's going to give you a 0, right? Okay, so after that, B dot C bar. Binadi, Dua, are you asking about what we call like, you mean if the brackets are going to be something like this? Are you telling something like this, Dua? Is it what you are asking? Yeah. So if it's so, you are going to consider A, B, and C bar, all three, right? So it can have 1, 1, 0. So 1 into 1 is 1, 1 into 0 is 0. So the final answer is 0. If you got 1, 0, 1, 1 into 0 is 0, 0 into 1 is 0 again. So final answer is 0. So even this case, when only all three things contains 1, then only you can have 1. In all other scenarios, it's going to be a 0. Is that clear? Right, great. Okay, so then now we are done with the brackets, which is b dot c bar, right? So we come out of the brackets. So at the out of the brackets, we have the a bar and plus mark. That means not operation is there, o operation is there. So we are going to give the priority to the not operation. So we are going to create a bar first. So it is easy to create a bar. You only need to consider the column A and create a bar. So column A has 4 zeros and 4 ones. So column A bar is going to is going to have 4 ones and 4 zeros. So zeros become ones, ones becomes 0 when it comes to the complement or the bar scenarios, right? Now we have b dot c bar in one column and a bar in another column. To take the final result, we have to add these two columns or like add the corresponding values to generate the RAS or the final result. So for that case, what we are going to do, it's like we are going to add the values, add the corresponding values very carefully. Right now, when you are adding the things, you are going to receive 1 in most of the cases, right? So 0 plus 1 is going to be 1, 1 plus 0 is going to be 1, 1 plus 1 according to the Boolean algebra is equals to 1. Only one scenario, just one scenario, it's going to have the 0 where 0 is adding up with another 0, right? So it is going to give you a 0 as the final result. So be very careful when you are doing the addition and the multiplication. Those are the only places where you can go wrong or where you can make careless mistakes, right? Otherwise, this is a very easy stuff to do, right? Dihan, පුතේවා අහන එකට හදන එක පුතේ මට අහන එක එච්චරම ක්ලියර් නෑ. එක ග්‍රිඩ් එකක් විතරයි නේද ඩ්‍රෝ කරලා ෆිල් කරන්නේ. ඔයා කියන්නේ truth tables කීපයක් අඳින්නේ නෑ නේද කියලා දහන්නේ. එහෙමද අහන්නේ ඔය? yes. අනිවාර්යයෙන්. truth tables කීපයක් අඳින්නේ. එක expression එකකට එක තනි truth table එකකින් ඒ වැඩේ ඉවර කරන්න ඕන. Right? Okay. So likewise, we are going to have the output. So that's it. That is the task that is given to us. Okay, any questions regarding this? Now we are going to draw some truth tables and I'm going to draw you the answers as well once after you try it. Right, before we go for those, if you got any doubts or if you got any questions, it's time to ask. Okay, so seems you don't have any questions, so let's try some questions, right? Okay, so here comes the questions. Right, construct the truth tables for the following expressions. I'm going to give you 3 expressions. Please write down these 3 expressions like one after the other or using a pencil, right? Doesn't matter. So then you can do the construction part. So your first one is going to be a bar dot b plus c, right? So the second one is going to be a bar plus b bar dot b plus c. And the third one a plus b bar, I'm sorry, it's the wrong one, a dot b bar plus a bar dot b bar. Yeah. පුතේ nans and no gates අපි truth table වලට පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. NAND එක කියලා කියන්නේ AND එක කරලා not එකක් කරනවා කියන එකනේ. Right? ඒ තරම් දුරට ඔයගලන්ට මේ level එකේ යන්නේ නැහැ. Right, Dihan? Okay, so try this. I'm going to give you 5 minutes for the first one. So it's 6:07. I'm going to start doing this by 6:12, right? So give it a try, everyone. I'm going to discuss it by 6:12, right? Yes, Dilni, yeah. Yes, that's the output. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, and Dihan, variable hatarak tibbot tamai rows 16ක් එන්නේ. Yes, that's correct. කියන එකත් හරි. Dilni, your answer is correct though. Go for the next one. Binadi, yes, your answer is correct. Very good. Rosira, yes, that's the correct answer. Yes, very good. Dilni, the second one. Let me see. Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, Dilni, that's correct. That's correct. Rannima, yes. That's the answer for the first one, though. Very good. Okay. Is there anyone who needs time to do the first one? I'm going to do it over here. Dihana, okay. I'll give you some time. I'll give you another 2 minutes, right? So by 6:16, I'm going to do it anyway. And yes, who is this? Gavindu, let me see. Yeah, that's the answer. Very good. Right, Rannima. This is the second one, right? Binadi, yeah, second one, yeah, that's correct. Rannima, yes, second one is correct. Rusira, second one is correct. Methula, the first one is correct. Second one is correct as well. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to do the first one. So here it comes. This is for the people who are still doing this, and to do your corrections as well, right? So the first one, the expression is a bar dot b brackets plus c, right? So we got three variables over here. So we know we need to draw a truth table which has 3 input columns with 8 different rows, right? So let me create those. Right. So what are we going to do first? We are going to fill out the input combinations, right? So the first row is going to be, first column is going to be 4 zeros and 4 ones. And the next column is going to be 2 zeros and 2 ones, again 2 zeros and 2 ones. Then again, the C is going to be a 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, and 0, 1. All right. So you have to learn the pattern. There is a logic behind this. I'll tell you what it is, right? But for the moment, just learn the pattern, right? So thereafter, first we have to give the priority for the brackets. So inside the brackets, we have a bar dot b. So two operators, which is the bar, which is not, and the dot, which indicates the and. So first we are going to figure out the not operator first, right? So I'm going to create a bar. How I'm going to create a bar is just looking at the column A. So it is easy to create a bar. So this is going to be 4 ones and 4 zeros. So we are just flipping, or like making the opposite of the A to find the A bar, right? Then after, we are going to create a bar dot b, right? Then yes, that's the answer for the third one though. Yeah, Rosira, third one, I think you have went a little bit wrong, Kuta, because it doesn't have 8 rows. It has 2 variables, so it is going to have 2 rows. I'm sorry, 4 rows, right? Okay, so here we are going to take a bar dot b, right? So a bar dot b. Methula, you have done the same thing. It's not a 8-row question, Buddha. It has only 2 variables in the third question. So it has only 4 rows, right? So a bar dot b, how we are going to create a bar dot b? We are going to consider the column A and a bar and the column B, these 2. So we are going to multiply these 2. So you have to do it very carefully. So 0 into 1 going to give you a 0. 0 into 1 going to give you a 0. 1 into 1 going to give you a 1. 1 into 1 going to give you a 1. 0 into 0. 0, 0 into 0, 0, 1 into 0, 0, 1 into 0, 0. Right? So likewise, you are going to take a bar dot b. Right? So the next thing we need, we can straight away go to the final answer because we have created a bar dot b. Right? So now we have to do the plus operation with c. So we got C already over here, and we got a bar dot b over here, right? So let's write the final answer, a bar dot b plus C. So these 2 columns are going to get add up, right? So again, you have to be very careful when you are adding things. So 0 plus 0 give you a 0, 1 plus 0 going to give you 1, 0 plus 1 going to give you a 1. 1 plus 1 according to the Boolean algebra is going to give you 1. 0 plus 0 going to give you a 0. 1 plus 0 going to give you a 1. 0 plus 0 going to give you a 0. 1 plus 0 going to give you a 1. So that is how the final answer is going to illustrate, right? Yeah, Gavindu, the second answer is correct. And Randima, third answer is correct. Right, people, it's time for you to do any corrections. If you got any mistakes, do the corrections. And I'm going to do the second one by another 5 minutes. It's 6:21. I'm going to do it by 6:26. Right. Rosita, yes, third one is correct. And meanwhile, when you are done with the truth table, you can send me the answers. Right. I'm going to do the second one by 6:27. Yeah, Tisat and Rusira, your answer is correct. Tisat, yeah, answer for the second and third is correct. Metula, third one is correct. Very good. Dihan, එහෙම නීතියක් නෑ පුතේ. A මුලින් ලියන්න ඕනේ, B ළඟට ලියන්න ඕනේ, C ළඟට ලියන්න ඕනේ කියලා. right? පාට එක කැමති පිළිවෙලකට ලියන්න පුළුවන්. වෙන්න ඕනේ එකම දේ මේ combination 8 තියෙනවනේ. රතු පාටින් ලියලා තියෙන ඒ combinations 8 වරද්ද ගන්න නැතුව ලියවෙන්න ඕනේ. එච්චරයි. right? අපි අර මේක අර order එකකට යන්නේ එතකොට අපිට වරදින්නේ නැහැ. right? අපි certain කොහොම ලිව්වත් එකම ආන්සර් එක එන්නේ. එකම ආන්සර් කියලා කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙමයි. ඔයාලට දැන් මේ කියන්නේ මේ එක කියලා හම්බෙන්නේ මේ බිඳුව එක කියලා තියෙන තැනට. එතකොට මේ බිඳුව එක කියන එක ඔයාලට මේ පේලි අතරේ කොහේ හෝ තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි බිඳුවයි එකට කෙලින් එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ අවුට්පුට් එකේ. ආයිසරයක් බිඳුවට කෙලින් එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ අවුට්පුට් එකේ. right? දැන් මේ බිඳුව අරගත්තොත් බිඳුවක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ එක බිඳුව කියන කම්බිනේෂන් එකට කෙලින්. එහෙම හම්බෙනවා නම් ඔයාගේ වැඩේ හරි. Right. Ranuja. Now, that is for what, Puta? No, second එකේ පුතාගේ ones and zeros ප්‍රමාණය වැඩි නේද දරු? There should be only 8 ones and zeros. Dihan, අපි B මුලින් ලිව්වොත් B ට දැන් මෙහෙමයි පුතේ වෙන්නේ. ABC මොන පිළිවෙලට ලිව්වත් මේ patterns ටික මොන පිළිවෙලට ලිව්වත් ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. මම අර කලින් කියපු දේ වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ බිඳුව 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 කියලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන් එක තැනක විතරයි. බිඳුව බිඳුව එක කියලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන් එක තැනක විතරයි. බිඳුව එක බිඳුව කියලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන් එක තැනක විතරයි. ඒක ඔයාට කැමති විදිහකට ගලප ගන්න පුළුවන්. අපි අර පැටර්න් එකක් ෆලෝ කරන්නේ. එතකොට අපිට මේ එක කම්බිනේෂන් එකක්වත් මිස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. right? එහෙම නැතුව නීතියක් නැහැ. ඒ කොලම් එක හරියටම මෙහෙම භාගයක් බිඳු භාගයක් එකේව දාන්න කියලා. එහෙම නීතියක් නැහැ. වාට පුළුවන් ඒක චේන්ජ් කරන්න. හැබැයි මේ එකිනෙකට වෙනස් කම්බිනේෂන් 8ක් ඔයා truth table එක ඇතුලේ හදා ගන්න ඕන. Tell me your answer is correct. Right? Okay, I'm going to do the second one. Right? Binadi, yeah, that's correct. That's correct. All right, here we go. The second one. So second one, the question is A bar plus B bar dot B plus C. Right? So here comes the expression A bar plus B bar within brackets dot B plus C. Right? Okay, so A, B, C, 3 columns are going to be there because we can find 3 variables. Again, as usual, I'm going to have 8 rows. Right, again, I'm going to fill out the things. So the first column, 4 zeros, 4 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, and a 1. Right? So let's make this. Now, the first thing we have to consider is we can consider any of the brackets since they are in the same level, right? So I'm going to go with the A bar plus B bar bracket. So we have to create A bar first, right? So how we are going to create the A bar? It's easy. Looking at the A column, just flip it out, right? So this is going to give you a 1. Right, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 0, 0, 0, and a 0. Then you are going to create B bar because we got A bar and B bar both in the bracket. So how we are going to convert the B bar? Just by looking at the B column. So it is going to be 1, 1, 0, 0, then again 1, 1, 0, 0 is there, right? So A bar and B bar is okay. Then we are going to create A bar plus B bar because we are still inside the bracket, right? So how we are going to create that? We have A bar here, we have B bar here. So we only need to add those things together. Right? Govindu, that is not the answer for the third one. You have to go through again, right? Okay, so when we are like considering the A bar and B bar, we are going to add those things. So be careful. 1 plus 1 is going to be 1. 1 plus 1 going to give you 1. 1 plus 0, again 1. 1 plus 0, again 1. 0 plus 1, again 1. 0 plus 1, again 1. 0 plus 0, it's going to be a 0. 0 plus 0, again it's going to be a 0, right? So then after, we are going to look at the next bracket or the next term, which is B plus C. So here we don't need to bother about converting anything. So B is there, C is there. So by looking at these two columns, we can straight away create B plus C. Right? So B plus C, how we are going to create that? We are looking at the B column. So 0 plus 0 is going to give you a 0. 0 plus 1 going to give you a 1. 1 plus 0 going to give you a 1. 1 plus 1 going to give you a 1. 0 plus 0 going to give you a 0. 0 plus 1 going to give you a 1. 1 plus 0 going to give you a 1, and 1 plus 1 going to give you a 1, right? So our first term is okay, A bar plus B bar, then the second term is okay, B plus C. So now to take the answer, we have to multiply these two, right? So A bar plus B bar multiplying with B plus C. So which is easy, we have to multiply the adjacent columns, right? So here 1 into 0 going to give you a 0, 1 into 1 going to give you a 1, 1 into 1, again 1, 1 into 1, again 1, 1 into 0 going to give you a 0, 1 into 1 going to give you a 1, 0 into 1, it is a 0, 0 into 1, again a 0, right? So this is going to be the final answer for this second question, right? So if you got any mistakes, please correct them out. If you got it correctly, you can mark it as correct, right? Get a red pen and mark it as correct. And yeah, is there any people who are still doing the third one? If not, we can go for the third one straight away. Okay, anyway, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do the third one since it is a small one. Right, so then, okay, carry on. I'll give you 3 to 4 minutes to complete this. So 6:35, I'm going to start it by 6:39, right? Dihan, පුතේ මට ඔයා කියන එක clear නෑ. Numbers තුනකදී ඒකන්නේ 011. පුතේ ඒක පැහැදිලිලා මට ඔයාලා තියෙන්නේ. Right, okay. Right. ඔයා අහන්නේ third question එකේ. Right. Okay. Yes. 0011 කියලා තමයි ගන්න. ඔව්. එක A bar එකක් ප්‍රමාණවත් කවුද දිහාන් එක A bar එකක් හැදුවම A bar එක brackets දෙකේම තියෙන ඒවට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right. Can we discuss this? Third question, do you need more time? Okay. So here we go, the third one. Now in the third one, you are facing with only two variables. So the equation is A dot B bar plus A bar dot B bar, right? So only two variables are there. So you need only A and B columns. So you need only 4 rows, right? So A can be written as 0, 0, 1, 1, the A column. B column is going to written as 0, 1, 0, 1, right? So A dot B bar, to create A dot B bar, we have to create the B bar column first, B bar, right? So B bar column, we can create the B bar column just by looking at the B column, right? So 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 0, and 0 becomes 1, and 1 becomes 0. Very easy from here to here, right? And then A dot B bar, A dot B bar. So A dot B bar means this and these columns need to be multiplied. So 0 into 1 is going to be a 0, 0 into 0 is going to be a 0, 1 into 1 is going to be a 1, 1 into 0 is going to be a 0, right? And so one bracket bracket is done. So the other bracket has A bar dot B bar. So we have already created B bar over here. So we don't need to go for a B bar again. So we can create an A bar just by looking at the A column. So A bar is going to be 1, 1, 0, 0. So now we can create A bar dot B bar by considering these two columns. So it says 1 into 1, so it is 1, 0 into 1, which is a 0, 1 into 0, which is a 0, 0 into 0, which is a 0. Right? Yes, Dihan, that is going to be the final answer. So to take the final answer, what we are going to do is, now we have A dot B bar, we have A bar dot B bar. So this column and this going to be added up. So A dot B bar plus A bar dot B bar. Right. So 0 plus 1, it's going to be 1. And 0 plus 0, it's going to be a 0. 1 plus 0, it's going to be a 1. And 0 plus 0, it's going to be a 0. So the final answer is going to be 1, 0, 1, 0. Right? Okay. So if you got any mistakes, you can do the corrections. Right? I'm going to keep this for 1 minute. Then I'm going to move to the next section. Right? Okay. Take a minute and do the corrections. Yes, yes. Okay, Dihan. All right. So I'm going to go to the next section. So for that, I need to refer your textbook. Hold on, let me take your textbook. Yeah, now in your textbook, if you got the textbook with you, just refer it, right? So in the logic gates, we have done these things, and we are going to talk about the integrated circuits. Now, this is the practical scenario, or like the practical application of the gates, right? So like you may have the question, or you may get the question, like we learn about these gates, but where we can find these gates actually. So the answer is, it is inside a component called IC, the integrated circuit. So you can see the picture of an integrated circuit. Now it's not a very clear picture. Right, which is not a nice way of presentation, right? So anyway, so this kind of chip which we can fix onto the circuit boards are called an integrated circuit. So to create an integrated circuit, we need the gates, right? It's actually not us who is creating the integrated circuit, it's a manufacturer. There are like specific factories which create these electronic items, right? So when they are creating that, they input these logic gates or the function of the logic gates inside it using many other components, right? So what we can do is, let me tell you, Buddha, let me tell you. Right, so what we can do is by using these integrated circuits, we can program these things by using several different programming languages, right? So one of the famous language is Arduino, right? So we can use the Arduino programming language to program this kind of an IC, right? So those ICs, there are many different ways of programming an IC, right? That is a one way of doing that, right? So these ICs, once we program that, that program, to run that program with the IC, it will take the help of these gates, right? So we have to choose the specific IC which fit with our requirement. Then we can program it as we want, right? Sometimes you may have experience with the Arduino. So anyway, we are going to program a particular IC which where we're going to have the help of these gates to do the function which we are expected to have from the integrated circuits. Now, when we are trying to program it, or when we are trying to work with an IC, it is important for us to work with these pins where they have named it as 1 to 14, right? So those are these what the lead color or the EM part aluminium part pins pins. So those are the pins that they have numbered over here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Likewise, right? So you can see in this IC wire diagram, we call it a wire diagram at the left hand side. What you can see is called a wire diagram. So in this diagram, you can see there are several different AND gates are used, right? And some of the pins are connected with the input lines of the AND gate, right? So as an example, the first one and the second pin is connected with the input lines of the AND gate. And the third one is connected with the output line. So that is how we are going to use it simply. So when we are taking an IC, it clearly shows us what are the pins that are dedicated for the inputs, what are the pins that are dedicated for the outputs, right? So using that, we can give inputs to the IC and we can take the corresponding output, right? So why we are talking about these things, it is just to recognize or just to have the idea the places where the industry is using gate in practical basis, right? So in your examination, you can have this kind of questions using the ICs, which are very simple one, right? So only thing, it doesn't matter whether it is draw it on an IC or on something else. You only need to know where a gate is going to have inputs and from where it is going to give you an output, right? I want you to try this activity now and just type me the answer. It's a very simple thing that they have asking, right? Read it carefully and tell me what is the answer. And for my information, people, what is the gate, the type of gate that they have used in here? Yeah, which kind of gate that they are using inside this IC? What's the name of that gate? Yes, very good. That's a NO gate. All right, now tell me the answer. Yes, simple as that. Simple as that. Yes, Siru, that's correct. Right? Yes, others? What should be the answer? Yes, great people. It's going to be 1, right? So how it's going to be 1? What they are saying is, consider the pins 1, 2, and 3, the above circuit. If 2 is 0, 3 is 0, what is the value of pin 1? So what they are saying is, they say that the value of 2 is 0. So if it is given a 0, this is going to receive a 0. And number 3, it's going to be 0. That means this one going to receive a 0, right? So Dihan, what is the thing that you cannot understand, Buddha? Is it the question or the explanation? The one I did before. Right, hold on. I'll come to that, Dihan, right? After we are done with this, right? So if pin 2 is given a 0 and pin 3 is given a 0, that means this NO gate is going to receive 0 and 0 as its inputs, right? So 0 and 0, once it is given to a NO gate, now what is the NO gate operation here? So when A and B is given, it will add the A and B together, then it will complement. That is how the NO gate works, right? That means 0 and the 0, which is receiving at the input point, is going to give you a 0 when it is being added together. Then once it is being inverted or like make it to its opposites, it's going to give you a 1 at the output. So that means at the pin 1, you are going to receive a 1. Yeah. Yes, people, can you understand this? Is that clear? Everyone? Yeah. Dihan, how about you? Can you understand this question that we are talking about? Oh, Dihan, පුතේ ඔයාට මේ මෙතන තියෙන්නේ no gate එකක් කියන එක තේරෙනව නේද? Right. Then you have to follow the question. So question says, if 2 equals 0, ඒ කියන්නේ pin number මේගොල්ලෝ මුලින්ම කියලා තියෙනවානේ, consider the pins 1, 2 and 3. ඒතර pins 3 කියලා කියන්නේ මොනවාද? මේ කියන pin එකයි, මෙතන තියෙන pin එකයි, මෙතන තියෙන pin එකයි. ඒක තමයි pins 3. Right? So a pins 3ට මේගොල්ලෝ කියලා තියෙනවා, if 2 is equals to 0, දෙවෙනි pin එකට 0 දෙනවා නම්, තුන්වෙනි pin එකට 0 දෙනවා නම්, දෙවෙනි pin එකට 0 හම්බෙනවා, තුන්වෙනි pin එකට 0 හම්බෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ line එක දිගේ යන්නේ 0 එකක්, මේ line එක දිගේ යන්නේ 0 එකක්. ඒක clearද? Dihan?
Yes, sir.
Right. එතකොට Dihan, ඔයාට මතක තියෙන්න ඕනේ මේ no gate එකේ operation එක මොකක්ද කියලා. No gate එක මොකද කරන්නේ? එයාට input වෙන ඒවා එකතු කරලා ඒක complement කරනවා, අනිත් පැත්ත හරවනවා. එතකොට බිඳුවයි බිඳුවයි receive වුණාම බිඳුවයි බිඳුවයි එකතු වෙනවා. එතකොට උත්තරේ බිඳුවයි, ඒක අනිත් පැත්ත හැරුණාම උත්තරේ 1යි. ඒක නිසා තමයි මෙතනින් output එක එක විදියට අපිට හම්බෙන්නේ. Clear? Right, okay. All right. So earlier Dihan අපි කතා කරේ මේ integrated circuit කියන එක හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ ඔය structure එකෙන් කියන එක. මෙහෙම gates පාවිච්චි කරලා හදලා තියෙනවා, මේ pins වලට ඒගොල්ලෝ connect කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට inputs ගන්න තැන් තියෙනවා, output දෙන තැන් තියෙනවා. Right? ඒක practical world එකේ අපිට gates පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක ගැන තමයි අපි එතනදී කිව්වේ. Right? එතකොට gate IC එකක් ඇතුලේ you can find several number of gates. Those can be identical things or can be different things. Clear the Buddha? Oh, Dihan. ඒ දිහාන් අපි මේවා පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ මේ ICs පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ circuit boards වලට. Right? Wait, I'll show you one. ඔය තියෙන ICs ඇති වෙන්න fix කරලා පේනවද? මේ මෙතන මේකක් මේ fix කරනවා පෙන්වන්නේ පොඩි අඬුවකින් අල්ලලා. Right? So likewise there are many different ICs on the circuit boards. Right? එතකොට මෙහෙම එකක් IC එක හැදලා තියෙන gates වලින් එතකොට අපි මේ IC එක program කරලා we are going to fix it onto the circuit boards. We won't be able to fix it onto the circuit board. We should have that specific idea, right? In Upama, these can be motherboards. These can be circuit boards. ඔයගලගේ පුංචි අර පොඩි කාලේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ සෙල්ලම් කරන පොඩි car එකේ remote controller car එක ඇතුලේ පොඩි circuits තියෙනවනේ. ඕනම පොඩි circuit එකකට IC එකක් connect වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? එතකොට අපි IC එක කියලා කිව්වේ මම IC එකෙත් පොඩ්ඩක් clear picture එකක් පෙන්නන්නම් ඔයගලන්ට. ඔයගලගේ පොතේ තියෙන IC එක එච්චර clear නැහැනේ. දැන් මේවට තමයි අපි ICs කියන්නේ. These are the ICs. Right? මේක බොහොම පුංචි. Right? මේ මෙතන තියෙන්නේ different kinds of ICs. එක එක જાති ICs තියෙනවා මෙතන. Right? So these are the components which fix onto the circuit boards. Then මේ අපේ motherboard එකක් ගත්තොත් we have different kinds of ICs. Right? So ඒ හැම එකක්ම program කරලා තියෙනවා. Right? එහෙමත් නැත්නම් එයාට input outputs දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන විදිහට තමයි එයාගේ ඇතුළ සකස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. So from those, sometimes it has some instructions and sometimes it is capable of taking the inputs and producing an output. Right? So it works. Right? So to do the operation inside this IC, there are gates. Right? So it works accordingly and it is arranged according to a particular requirement. Dhyan, is that clear? Dhyan, you won't be able to find this inside the IC. IC එකක් ගලවලා බලන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට ලොකු technical knowledge එකක් ඕනේ. Even I don't know how to do that. Right? But what I can tell to you is the component called gate. Gate එකට අදාළව තියෙන circuit එක තියෙන්නේ IC එක ඇතුලේ lay කරලා කියන එක. Right? එතකොට ඒක පුතා මේ IC එකක් ඇතුලේ. Right? අපි මෙතන ඕනනම් inside an IC කියලා චුට්ටක් search කරලා බලමු. ඒගොල්ලෝ wire diagram එක නැතුව practical diagram එක දෙයිද කියලා. ඔව්. මෙතන අපිට ඒකයි මම කිව්වේ මේක එක සැරේට අපිට fix කරගන්න හරි අමාරුයි. මොකද it's a very advanced thing that they are doing. Like even though we are searching or we are drawing the gates using symbols, when it comes to the electronic components, we can't find those actual shapes inside it. It's just a circuit again. Right? ඒකේගොල්ලෝ EM පාවිච්චි කරලා ඔය ඇතුලේ electronic components පාවිච්චි කරලා හදනවා. Right? right? If we like search like gates inside an IC, right? එතකොට අර IC එක ඇතුලේ gates ගැන ඇහුවා. මේක මේ කියන්නේ wire diagram එකකින් තමයි you can see the gates. IC එකක් ඇතුළ ගත්තොත් ඇත්තටම අපිට මේ විදිහට දැන් මෙතන gate එකක් තියෙනවද කියලා we can't recognize it. It is just the pins which is connected to each other and there is the chip. So inside this chip kind of thing, they are doing the functions which is done by a several number of gates. Right? Is that clear, people? Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So good. You guys are like exploring those things, right? So if you want to learn about this much more, you should enter to a university, right? And do the electrical engineering, right? So it's not about the hardware and all these things, right? Okay. So the questions regarding the ICs are such, right? So the next one is about the practical scenario of a particular, like we are going to create the circuit to a practical situation or to a scenario, right? That is what is there at the end of your lesson. And that is the way that you are going to have a question in your exam paper as well, right? There are three types of questions that you can ask, right? One type is like you can provide an expression and ask you to draw a circuit, or else you can provide a circuit and then ask you to draw a truth table, or else this is the third way. You can give a particular scenario and ask you to design a circuit or design a particular scenario, design a particular circuit or design a particular expression for the scenario, right? Now, let's just sneak into that on your book. All right, people, before that, what is the answer for the second question over here? Yes, yes. I think some of you have done it and wait until I'm asking, right? So just when I'm asking, you have put the answer. Yeah, it's going to be the 0, right? Why it is going to be the 0? So they are talking about the pin 1 and pin 2 again, right? So how it's going to be? Pin 1 is over here. This is pin 1. So it receives 1, it says. That means you are going to receive 1 over here. And pin 2 is going to receive 1. That means you are going to receive 1 over here. So NAND gate is going to behave like what? You multiply it and complement it, right? So we write the operation like A dot B bar. That is the way you are going to write it. So that means you multiply 1 into 1 is 1, then you complement it. So it's going to be a 0 at the output, right? So likewise, it's very easy, right? These things can easily be given as a MCQ questions, right? So be prepared. If something comes, it's only the logic that you need to do, right? Okay, so I'm going to the practical usage of logic gates. Now here, what they are trying to do is, they are trying to introduce you to think of creating or planning a particular circuit according to the given scenario, right? Now, this is the given scenario. I want you to read this particular scenario to this particular, and hold on, to this particular point, right? So read it slowly. Just read it, huh? No, Risara, you don't need to write it. I'll tell you when to write it. Right? Don't write it until I say so. Okay. So what is this all about? Now they are talking about a home security system, right? Which alarms you when a particular theft is going on, right? So they have two windows and two doors, and those are connected with the sensors. In case if any one particular door, at least any one particular door is open, it's going to give you an alarm, or it's going to buzz you and give you the sound, or give you the idea, or give you the alert that a particular door or a window has opened, right? So it's a simple thing, right? දොරවල් දෙකකුයි channel දෙකකුයි තියෙනවා. එකක් හරි open කරොත් alarm එකක් වදිනවා. Right? You have experienced these things. Like there are some shops where you you can hear a sound, or you can hear a particular music when you are opening the doors of that particular shops or particular places, right? So something similar, and here you have like two doors and two windows to do that, right? So the requirement is you are given this scenario, and what they are asking you to do is to create a particular circuit to this particular scenario, right? So now let's see how we are going to deal with this kind of situation, right? Now, when you are given such a situation, the first thing that you have to do is you have to figure out what are the inputs and what is the output of this particular situation or particular scenario, right? From the situation, we can understand that easily. What is going to indicate you the output, and what are the things which controls the output? They are going to be the inputs, right? So when you are given such scenario, so that is the first thing for you to do. So the first thing is determine the inputs and the output. Yeah, people, any suggestions? What are the inputs over here? And what is the output? Yes. No, Dihan, don't copy it. I'll tell you what to be done. Yes, people. What indicates the output? Yes. Any suggestions? What indicates the output? No, I'm asking. Yeah, yes, Ranima, that's correct. It's the alarm signal indicate the output. So I'll tell alarm is my output. Alarm, right? I'm going to indicate this by capital A. Alarm. And what are the things that controls this output, the alarm? Yeah, Inupama, that's very clever. Yes. Inputs are going to be, yes, very good, Inupama. How about others? Suggestions? Come on. Yeah, very good. The windows and the doors, right? Actually, the sensors which are connected to windows and doors, right? So those are going to be the inputs or the controllers of the output, right? So how many windows we have? 2. How many doors how we have? 2. So like I'm taking door 1 and I'm indicating it as D1, and door 2 and I'm indicating it as D2. So in the same way, we are going to have window 1 and window 2, where I'm going to indicate it by W1 and W2. So window 1, W1, and window 2, W2. And there is no rule that you have to take, you must take D1 and you must take D2. If you want, you can have A, B, C, D, or X, Y, Z, or whatever the thing, right? So it is just a particular variable that I'm taking to indicate the inputs, right? So once after you figure out the inputs and the output, then you have to figure out what are the states of these inputs and outputs. Because when it comes to the logic gate circuits, we are always working with ones and zeros, right? So it is always, when it comes to like regardless of an input or an output, it always indicates two kind of states, right? So if you take a door, you can take open as a one particular state, close as the other particular state. And if you get an alarm, like buzzing up the alarm can be taken as a one particular state, not buzzing the alarm can be taken as another particular state. If you consider a fan, like rotating or like on the fan can be taken as a one particular state, not working or off state of the fan can be taken the other particular state. If you take a bulb, lighting up can be taken as a one state, not lighting up can be taken as the other state. If you take a switch, on is a one state, off is another state, right? And always remember, if you are asked to create a logic circuit, you have to consider, you have to concentrate on these two states of a particular input or an output. So the next step is about figuring out what are the states of these inputs and outputs, right? So the second point, I think you can stay for another 5 minutes, right? So in the second point, we are going to figure out determine the states of the inputs and outputs not using actually mapped with ones and zeros. Figuring out means like determining දිහාන හොයා ගන්නවා කියන එක, right? Figure out කර ගන්නවා කියලා කියන්නේ හොයා ගන්නවා කියන එක, right? So like when it comes to this scenario, now for doors and windows, we know what are the states. The scenario explains that, right? The open and the closed states are there, right? So input is 1 when windows or doors are open. Input is 0 when windows or doors are closed. So that is the state of the windows and doors, right? So it is easy. For door 1, we can have open state and we can have closed state. So the same way for door 2, we can have open state and we can have closed state. Same way for the window 1, we can have open state and we can have closed state. For the window 2, we can have open state as well as we can have closed state, right? So those are the states of the inputs. And how about the output? What could be the states of those, of that? It is alarm. So alarm can be on, we can simply take it, and alarm can be off, right? Is that clear, everyone? So the states of the inputs and the outputs. Right, very good. Okay, now I'm going to show you, or I'm going to illustrate this using the variables that I took. This D1, D2, W1, W2, and A, those are the variables that I took. So when I'm doing that, I'm going to consider the value that the question says. So door open indicates by 1, right? Door close indicate by 0. So the same way, this door open is indicate by 1 and it is indicate by 0. Closing is indicate by 0. Right? Open indicates by 1. Closing indicate by 0. And in the same way, alarm on is indicated by 1 and alarm off is indicated by 0. Now, if your scenario does not illustrate about this, does not telling about the states, you can assume. Scenario එක කියන්නේ නැත්නම් එක කියන්නේ මොකද්ද බිඳුව කියන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා ඔයාට උපකල්පනය කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? But in your questions as like out of 99.9%, they are telling you a state, right? So regarding these 1 and 0, I can write the variable like this. Now, D1 is to indicate 1, and I can say D1 bar to indicate the 0, right? It's very logical, right? If 1 is something, 0 is the complement of it. No? So D1 කියන්නේ එක නම් 0 වලින් indicate කරන්නේ D1 bar. Very clear. Right? So the same way, we can write D2 for here, and this 0, this is D2 bar. And for window, this is W1. And for the 0, W1 bar. And for this, W2, for this 0, W2 bar. And for the alarm, I can take 1 as A, 0 as A bar. Did you get that, people? Yes, great. Now, here comes the important part, right? Once you figure this out, the very last thing that you have to do is you have to write an expression just to indicate how the output behaves according to the input, right? It's your own expression, right? In a very simple terms, right? So write an expression to illustrate how the output controls by the inputs, right? Now for this, I'm going to write something like this. This is very easy. Make a scenario. I'm going to write something like this. Now, what I meant here is a phrase like this, right? I'm going to say alarm is on either door 1 or door 2 or window 1 or window 2 is open, right? Can you recognize like how we get that very easily, right? Inputs and outputs පාවිච්චි කරලා we are just writing a short sentence, right? Very easy. Now what we are going to do is we are going to map the variables regarding these components to create the equation. So how we are going to create the equation? It says alarm is on. So what is the on state of the alarm? It indicates by A. And it says when either door 1 or door 2 or door 3 or door 4 is open. So open state means it's D1, D2, W1, W2. Open state indicate කරන්නේ හතර දෙනානේ. So I'm going to map these variables to that particular expression, right? Simple as that. So let's see how we can do that. Here we go. Alarm is on. So that means A. So that is the output. Alarm is on. So then output is 1 on my left hand side. So I'm putting equal. Then on my right hand side, I'm going to write what is the behavior of the inputs. So it says either door 1 or door 2 or window 1 or window 2 is open. So that means D1 or D2 or W1 or W2. And this is going to give us the expression, right? So what's the expression? A equals D1 plus D2 plus D3 plus, I'm sorry, not the D3, it's the W1 plus W2. Now, why did I use plus over there? It is because of this. We know who this is, right? So O indicates by plus, right? And later you will find some of your phrases like this, right? සමහර වාක්‍යවල you may find and word. And එක හම්බුනොත් and එක වෙනුවට අපි මොකද්ද පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ? We can use a dot. People, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Right, great. Now, since we have ran out of the time, නේද අපි විනාඩි 5කට 6කට එහා පැත්ත ගියා. Right, so I'm going to keep this as it is. By next day, I'm going to explain it again and I'll let you write the things, right? So now you are done. Then ඔයගලන්ට මෙහෙම expression එකක් ආවම you know how to draw the circuit and you know how to create the truth table, right? So those we have done already. ඒක තමයි අපි කලින් practice උනේ. So we are done, right? So by next week we will be able to finish off the fourth lesson by talking about some other examples and some other questions with you by rehearsing this again, right? Okay, people. So I'm going to end the session from here, and thank you very much for staying until late, right? So I'll see you on next week for the very same time, and we'll rehearse this again and go for the note, right? So thank you very much. Have a very good night, right? And be very safe, people. Right? I'll see you on next week for the same time, right? Okay, people. Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you very much. Yes, stay safe, people. Good night. And someone has asked you about me about the most significant bit and least significant bit. මට ඊළඟ දවසේ මතක් කරන්න පුතේ මම ඔයාලට කියලා දෙන්නම් session එකෙන් පස්සේ, right? Okay. Right, okay everyone. Good night then. I'm going to end the session from here since it is late for me as well, right? Okay people, thank you very much. Good night then.